action! Here we are, the final countdown of Ace Attorney month. It's been fun, guys, but all things must come to an end, and I've decided to conclude it with one of the best aspects of this series, the cases. Each game has 4 to 5 of these separate stories in them, except for Dual Destinies, which has a downloadable 6th case and is pretty okay. These stories are very interesting, from the beginning where you face off against Winston Payne to the final case where you fight the big prosecutor. And as a final send-off to this glorious series, I'm counting down not 10, not 15, but my top 20 favorite cases in the series. The basic structure is that I'm including at least one case from every single game, including Investigations 2, of course, and Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright. Also, spoilers and shit blah blah blah. So then, let's finish this! The cases from Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright weren't exactly the strongest. The concepts were pretty cool, being related to magic as opposed to murder, but the executions were alright. Prime example being the Golden Court. This one involves another trial of Maya Fey because she's been accused of turning the professor into gold. Well then, at least now he's truly a golden icon in our eyes, right? Poor girl can't catch a break. Seriously, 2 murders and now witchcraft. Does the world just hate Maya or something? As if being part of a group that isn't exactly seen as the most competent, especially in these times, but now she has a literal hellhole underneath her. Oh, and because it's the good puzzle solver that's been encased in gold, Luke has the need to testify because he genuinely believes that Maya did it at first. So what's the solution to get him to believe that Maya didn't do it? Oh god damn it, not a bird. We're cross-examining another fucking parrot? Grand, what's next? A whale? Oh, fucking hell. In the end, it all draws to the butler of the Storymaster's friend, Newton Belduke, Jean Greyer, which includes another real gender identification reveal. But as she's about to get dropped into that fucking pit, Espella offers to go because she claims to be the Great Witch. However, Maya tries to stop Espella from getting toasted, in which it results of her getting burnt anyways. Only then she's revealed to not really be dead. Yee. Oh, hello there, Investigations. How are you doing today? So yeah, we all know how I feel about this game. Skip, 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 and then we have the Kidnapped Turnabout. This one involves, well, a kidnapping that turns into a murder. No surprise there. The interesting thing about this case, however, is that it takes place at a theme park. First an airplane, now an amusement park of Police Badger World. However, the best thing about this case is that it introduces 2 of the best characters in the game, Kay Faraday and Shilong Lang. Kay's a great addition to the game as she has a cool gameplay mechanic known as the Little Thief, which has the ability to recreate a scene with the given information input to it. This helps solve some unexplained things and even leads to figuring out who really killed Oliver Deacon. And Shilong Lang is pretty good because of the reasons I listed in my characters list. But some older characters are brought back like... Old Bag. Yeah. Fuck. But in the end, it's a pretty good case overall. Too bad I prefer 2 of Investigation's other cases over it. Ace Attorney Trivia Time. The original GBA Gyakuten Saiban only had 4 cases in it. The 5th one, Rise from the Ashes, was added as part of the DS release, and it adds DS functions such as closer examination upon objects and better rendered cutscenes that the DS can actually handle. And this case is... okay. I mean, it has the DS controls going for it and quite a few good characters. I like Emma Skye, Jake Marshall, and especially Damon Gant. But the story is just kinda... leg. The whole point of Turnabout Goodbyes is to make Edgeworth realize the error of his ways as a prosecutor, and thus in the end he resigned from his job. I guess that happened after Ashes or something, but because this case didn't exist when Justice for All and Trials and Tribulations were made, it's said that he resigned after Goodbyes, but I personally got the impression that he didn't do another trial after that. This could have been easily fixed if they just introduced a new prosecutor who was just as good as Edgeworth and only for this case specifically, and bringing mention that he's no longer around prosecuting by someone would solve the issue of what happened to him. Seriously, putting Edgeworth in here was a mistake in my eyes, but the whole concept of one person getting murdered twice in the same place was pretty interesting, but not good enough to warrant one of the greatest cases. However, Ashes is put at this spot for one reason alone. Damon freaking Gant. Seriously, the guy's my favorite villain in the entire Ace Attorney series. If they had brought in anyone else who wasn't as good a villain as he is, then this could possibly be the worst case in the entire franchise. Well, it's a good thing that he delivers extremely well in this case. However, this turnabout is long. Like, really long. Like, really freaking long. It's as long as the other cases in the game combined. Oi, hey look, it's Trials and Tribulations! Be prepared to see a lot of this game. And as for its first representative, we have Turnabout Beginnings. Yeah, it's called Turnabout Beginnings, and it's the beginning of the cases from Trials and Tribulations. Fuck it. This case doesn't have you play as Phoenix Wright, but as Mia Fey for the second time. In her first ever case as a defense attorney. Confusing, I know, but it'll make sense eventually. So Mia defends an escaped convict, Harry Falls, of a murder he didn't commit. This case is relatively simple, as there are no investigation segments and it's the same length as the first trial from TNT, being separated into only 2 parts, thus its low placement. But there are 3 really good things about this case. 1, because it's a prequel and has the same villain from the first case, it's pretty interesting to see things in a reversed perspective. What I mean by this is that in Turnabout Memories you see Dahlia Hawthorne and don't think too much of her at first, but Mia knows the truth because she's seen her before. But in Memories, you know about what Dahlia's done, but it's the first time Mia's ever seen her. Nice detail added. 2, it's also Edgeworth's first ever case as a prosecutor. Still the same way that he prosecuted in Turnabout Sisters, but he wears a different jacket and is a bit younger. Small but nice detail again. And 3, Diego Armando. Seeing who Gatto was before he became... well, Gatto is an extremely nice feature in adding to his development. So he was a defense attorney before becoming a prosecutor. But in the end, the trial ends in tragedy when Terry Falls kills himself and Dahlia Hawthorne manages to walk away with no consequences. Quite a good case, but to think that it's my least favorite from TNT. Oi, gonna get ablazed with this one because Turnabout Ablaze isn't even in the top 15. Oh! I'm gonna have to stop that. Ablaze is quite the final case, and by that I mean it's pretty okay for final case standards. A few times later on, you're gonna be seeing that the final case isn't my favorite from that game, but most of the time it's just because I simply prefer that one over the final case, even though it may be really freaking good. In the case of Ablaze, it's because the final case wasn't as good as the others for me. I did enjoy it enough for a placement on this list, no shit, but no higher than number 16. Well, what I do enjoy about this case is that it takes place at an embassy of a country that's been split up into 2 territories. Makes for some pretty complicated issues, like how the ambassador of Alabast can get away with committing murder on his own territory because fuck you guys, I have immunity. Also going between the 2 countries of Alabast and Babel to see what the hell happened was quite nice. The best part for me, as for others probably, is that the real Yatagarasu gets revealed. Turns out that it was made up of 3 individuals, not just 1. This manages to shock Kay quite a bit, but she still continues to be the Great Thief's second Yatagarasu. And taking down Quercusalba was such a pain, but all the more satisfactory. Also, this case is called Ablaze because the building went to blaze. Lulz. Okay, shit's about to get real. We're gonna take the court outside, and it's gonna be at nighttime. Make it all edgy and stuff. The final witch trial is a pretty intense case. Not only does it still follow the insanity of Labyrinthia, but it has the High Inquisitor as a prosecutor and 10 fucking witnesses on the stand. It's practically a losing case, you know, because Espella just summoned a fucking fire dragon to consume her father, but because Sir Apprentice Baker has actually managed to prove 2 people innocent of witchcraft, he may be able to do it here. Most likely not, but it's still worth a shot. However, some things get revealed that are the opposite of what we're expected to believe. First of all, Espella wasn't even meant to be the Great Witch. That was Lady Darklaw. And all the people who got burned after being found guilty are taken to some far-off place instead of just, well, dying. And the whole truth behind Labyrinthia being a government-run experiment as opposed to being a town inside of a picture book. But the best part of this case is when Professor Layton himself takes over as prosecutor. Finally get to see the trailer from 2010 come to life in a sense. But when it's all over, Layton, Luke, Phoenix, and Maya return to their normal lives, which is quite nice. Oh, hey Edgeworth, when did your voice become not yours? More TNT! Yay! Our second representer from this wonderful game is the second case. The Stolen Turnabout doesn't start off like other cases in the series. All trials so far have been ones of murder, no derp. But this one begins with a theft. But not just any case of grand larceny, it's the strike of the famous thief Mask to Mask. But when Gumshoe manages to catch the one who's behind the thefts, it turns out to be Ron Delight. But another character you meet is Ace Detective himself, Junpei Iori. Look at me.
This is a tough case, even for Junpei Iori, Ace Detective.
Ace Detective? More like Stupe Ace Defective.
He's the one who jumped on Damask's case since his first heist and actually managed to get back one of the things he's stolen in the past. But Ron then admits to being Damask to avoid something later on happening to him. As per usual, the second case always introduces the new prosecutor for the game after your Winston Payne character. And this one introduces Gatto. Don't really need to say anything, we all know how I feel about him. Phoenix proves Ron's innocence as Damask, which then pinpoints toward Atme being the real thief, which he admits to. But all turns bad when the result of getting not guilty for Ron meant that, you guessed it, he's the only one who could have killed the victim, Kane Bullard, because his alibi for the theft pinpoints him to the murderer. However, Ron didn't do that, so now you have to defend him again. But in the end, it was really Atme who did the killing, and Ron was not charged with being a thief due to double jeopardy. I guess the whole reason why I like this case is because it introduces three really awesome characters. But on the downside, Larry's back. Guess who? Oi, the last of investigations you're gonna be seeing on the list. Reminiscence! This is one of the cases that I mentioned earlier where it's overall better because it outshined the final case. But as to why I prefer Reminiscence over Ablaze is because it's a much better written case overall. Something I like about the series is a few of the cases actually go back into the past and you're given a different point of view. And it's done right every single time, IMO. I guess what makes it work is that the game isn't entirely focused around the time travel. It's at most just the one case or two in TNT's perception. So the case itself focuses on what was supposed to be Edgeworth's first ever trial as a prosecutor, but the defendant he was supposed to prosecute was killed along with the prosecutor he was supposed to replace. What I really like about this one is that it introduces the time when Edgeworth met both Gumshoe and Kay for the first time, showing how the lawyer and the detective became a pair in the fight against crime, and how the second great thief of justice was born. And because of the way Edgeworth defended Gumshoe like he did, now he has full faith in Edgeworth and has always been by his side. This case also introduces Detective Bad, who's pretty damn cool. And the suspense that the ending leaves on the player, wondering things like, what happened to Callisto U? Where did that key go? Why did Gumshoe switch from tan to green overcoat? But seeing Callisto U just get away like that is pretty defeating. However, roll over to the next case and giving her the just desserts she deserves as She-Na was oh so satisfying. Now, if only the rest of the game could be as good as this case. Now we move on to Apollo Justice, a game that I feel gets a bit of unnecessary flack. Sure, it does have one of my least favorite turnabouts in the entire series, but that doesn't mean that all of its cases were bad. Turnabout Trump is fucking amazing. It's your typical first case, face off against Winston Payne, defend your client, and go through the tutorial if need be. But you're not defending just any old client, you're defending Phoenix, right? Wait, what? Shouldn't you be doing your own lawyering or something? Why do you look like some deadbeat without a job? What the hell happened? Well, it turns out that Phoenix lost his badge 7 years ago, and now he's being accused of the murder of Shady Smith. God damn it, Phoenix, you just can't stay out of trouble, can you? I think what makes this case so great is that it's unlike any other first case in the series. This one doesn't actually tell you who's the real killer, the first two pretty much directly tell you who did it, and the third one wasn't directly spoken of, but it became apparent pretty quick on. Trump, however, leaves you in mystery on who really did it. Suspicions go from Phoenix to the waitress Olga to Phoenix again, but it takes quite the turn when it's revealed that the real killer is Apollo's mentor, Christoph Gavin. Though if there was a problem, I'd say that it's a bit abrupt. I mean, seriously, Christoph only mentioned offhandedly that he knew the cars were blue at the beginning. Kind of a small detail that you don't really remember that well, at least for me. But when you do bring Christoph to the stand and to Apollo's surprise, actually prove that he was the killer, Christoph becomes quite angry. He also mentions the incident that happened 7 years ago where Phoenix lost his badge, which goes into more detail later on in the game. Overall, this is a really good first case with quite the twist at the end. The better first case, in my opinion, is Turnabout Memories from Trials and Tribulations. Oh great, another case where Phoenix is the defendant. Sir, you getting in all sorts of trouble. You got some splaining to do. So this is the first case where you play as Mia Fey, and it's the usual tutorial. Pretty simple, but it gets the job done. Oh, and look who's here, it's Marvin Grossberg, and wait a sec, is that Winston Payne? What, he had a pompadour? What the hell happened to it? Wait, we're gonna find out later on. Okay then. Anyways, Memories is the best first case for me because it explains the origins of how Phoenix and Mia met. And because of what Mia did for him, this is what caused Phoenix to believe in his clients to the bitter end when he became a defense attorney. This case also introduces the first ever good female villain into the series, Dahlia Hawthorne. And this is the reversed perspective I was talking about earlier, how Mia knows who Dahlia is but you don't. And as you prove that Dahlia did indeed kill Doug Swallow and show that Phoenix didn't do it feels quite satisfying. Seeing Dahlia change from this sweet, innocent girl to some mischievous little bitch, it feels even better taking her down, specifically trying to get her to take the cold medicine that she poisoned. And then one of the best part comes. Winston Payne doesn't accept that Mia has beat him, so she dares him to take the medicine since early in the trial he said he has complete faith in his witness, even to the point with his life. Then this happens. Wait, what? That's how he lost all that hair? He got owned by the very thing he kills? Oh, shit! And thus, due to his depression of losing all that hair, he switched from a bright green suit to a plain gray suit, and he gets owned by all other rookies because he's a pleb. Thank you guys so much for watching part 1 of this video. Because I'm an asshole, you guys are gonna have to wait an entire week to see part 2. I know, I'm horrible. If you liked the video, liking would be so much appreciated. Enjoyed the video so much that you want to see more of my content, subscribing would help quite a lot. As always, have a grand day and go use a Magatama or something. The truth shall make its way to you.